Hope you guys had a great day, had a great trading day. I am on the newer contract here, so we're going to be taking a look at some stuff. I have to mark a couple things here and there, but just going into the week. But other than that, it's looking pretty good for these highs that we've been noting. We had our reaction here. There was a daily BISI and also a 4-hour fair value gap here that we used on NQ. And there was an SMT with a daily candle here, which is going to have to be, I think, not on the daily. Let's go to the 4-hour because it was much cleaner. But our SMT here was right over here with that low there specifically. You guys can see there was an immediate rebalance here on the 4-hour. Immediate rebalance in which it took us up much higher. As we kind of expected, we wanted to see these relative equal highs and then all-time highs for ES. And of course, this low resistance liquidity here that was engineered, and then this high up here, which we still have not touched. So I am keeping an eye out on that. When it comes to next week, I am looking to see if price can push up into this fairly quickly, I should say. I do want to see price draw into this high and this high. And then we do have a daily SIBI up here, in which I will mark here just for us for next week. Something to keep an eye on, of course. I do think NQ will definitely go higher, Scotty. 100%, I totally agree with you. There is an immediate rebalance here on the daily so far, so that's really interesting stuff there. And I do think we're gonna get some nice movement here to these highs up here. This is that void, volume balance and void on the lower time frame that I had marked prior in the previous contract, and I mentioned how there's going to be a lot of stuff here. Trying to push through this area is going to be a little interesting, right? Another thing to note here, I am going to pop on some digital time 3 times here for you guys for the yearly fib here. Okay, so we have our, just like everything else, we have our Judas model, right? Then we have model 11, and this is terms of the yearly session. Obviously, these are not the names, but I'm just going to kind of give you guys a quick, short example here, because I know there was a couple people asking, oh, like, can I get a some live tape reading on Asia session? Can I get some live tape reading on London session? It's essentially the same thing, right? As the New York model, right? So this would be your Judas, this is your model 11, your 110, and then this is your 1001 and 111 combined, essentially, right? So we are in the IMP9 model name, so this is what that model name is for the yearly session. It's IMP9. Okay, and it's this entire time frame over here. It is a bit large, so what we like to do is we like to dissect this up, okay, into our digital time 3 time fib. So these time fibs are right over here. For those of you who want to screenshot or use it, this is what we use, right? We have the 0, 1, 1, 2, 5, 3, 6, and then 5, 6, 2, 5, and then 1, okay? All we're doing is we're trying to find these inner cycle lines, right? So we can see when price will kind of have that injection of volatility or a pivot in price, okay? And one other thing here is that we just hit September 20th, and that is our contract change as well. We had a contract switch expiration, and the digital time 3 line happens to align up perfectly with that contract switch date. So we obviously know that these DTT times obviously put some sort of give a little bit of perspective here, but also we know that these times are being put into play and are pretty much working. The next time that I am looking for is October 22nd. That's going to be a huge date to keep an eye on. And of course, you can obviously kind of split this section up. Same thing with over here. You can split this up as well. Time and price, they are fractal. So you can definitely do this on the lower time frame, and you can get these dates from here. Okay. Couple more dates for you guys. I know I don't stream in the members chat much, or I should say those who are non-quant members. But a couple dates to look for, and I would write this down if I were you guys. Obviously, I said October 22nd, but October 30th and November 15th are going to be important, especially since elections are in this area. And then the final date is going to be December 2nd, towards this end of the year. Okay. So still a long way to go. But it's been a great year for, you know, just kind of marking everything with DTT times and lines. So just keep an eye out on that. All right. All right, perfect. So let's go down to the 4-hour here, and let me do this. Turn this off for you guys so it's much clearer and cleaner. So I mentioned to keep an eye out on this 4-hour BISI yesterday in the quant recap. For those of you who were in there, it was it was a point of interest, of course, but it was a it was a PD ray that we were keeping an eye on, right? So price traded right into that. All right, then we got a retracement way back up. We have left some relative equal highs here on the 4-hour, but we are looking for this high to be taken out, and then eventually this liquidity pool to be taken out as well. There's liquidity resting up here, and I had mentioned multiple times in our group that once we pass through this low resistance, price will really run through it, head to a void here, retrace down to a BISI, and of course we're looking for these relative equal highs to be hit. Now we have 1, 2, 3 highs, and then of course we have these highs up here that correspond, and I should say confluence with this daily SIBI up here. All right. And again, one more thing, there is an immediate rebalance here on this daily. We have a wick right over here, right? Price traded into the body of this candle, went to this previous wick, and then traded back up. So we are looking for a price to continue much higher here, right? So nothing much here in the hourly, but we are going to look at this section right over here, right? This is our entire New York session here. So I'm going to turn on the digital time theory indicator here. And we can take a look at and see what happened over here. So there's multiple things that I want to go over, specifically 110 and model 111. Since I don't usually go over those much, and they kind of played out well today, but to kind of start off on the day, as mentioned before, we wanted to see a draw into this 4-hour BISI, right? When price wants to seek liquidity, it'll do it on both ends. So if we have price hitting a specific high, right, we want to see a retracement into some sort of a discount if price is bullish, right? And then eventually continuing up higher, right? That's what this is doing over here. That's what we're looking at over here, right? We traded up into this void, right? Then we're trading down into a discount, and now we're looking for a price to continue higher. All right, you guys see that? Similar, it's the same thing on all time frames, right? Look at this. We hit a specific target here, right? There's some true opens here. There's the 930 CME opening price, discount, and then a continuation, right? And that's what we're looking at here on the higher time frame. So with that being said, in the morning we had a really nice setup for shorts, okay? We did have an inversion here, very tiny one, but sell side was the target. We had price manipulate these highs, take that out. Your New York midnight opening price is right over here, this pink line, okay? We manipulated above it. The best short setups are above that New York midnight opening price in which we traded above, all right? There was a little tiny BISI here that was inversed, and we disrespected all these true opens, right? Your 830 opening price and your New York midnight opening price. And this is essentially time distortion here, okay? Price is just chopping back and forth in this section here, right? A lot of the times this will happen during Judas as well, during your Judas time, right? But because we are provided with this chop earlier, we can expect price to change once that Judas time comes, in this case 9:55. So as you can see, a minute after 9:55, that time distortion or chop is over, and eventually what are we looking at? We're looking at liquidity to be taken, right? We have these lows here, 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 and here, right? Ultimately, this is that low that you're looking for, and then eventually into this 4-hour BISI. Huge range that we worked with, and it was absolutely beautiful today, right? So once we have that time distortion that's over at 9:55, we have a really nice push down here, really nice drop. And then eventually what you have is you have some displacement. You have a SIBI here. And I see Ivan pointed out as well, uncorrelated behavior between ES and NQ during that time too. And thank you for pointing that out. I got to bring this up. I didn't really see exactly. Okay, yeah, so I see what Ivan's pointing out here. Let me go here. Okay, so this is kind of that time that... my bad, that Ivan's talking about, right? And there is also an SMT here that I forgot to point out. So thank you, Ivan, for pointing that out there. we can see the increased volatility here in NQ. This is kind of like that behavior that Ivan's also talking about, where NQ takes that high, right, and then it starts dumping fairly fast as compared to ES, right? And Ivan just said in the chat here, for those of obviously I'm doing a recording as well, but Ivan said that NQ had a sympathetic decline after ES was the leader and gave the clue, right? And thank you for that, Ivan. Thank you. But essentially here, that SMT manipulation above that New York midnight opening price is also a huge giveaway as well, right? A lot of stuff here that was kind of a giveaway in the morning. That price wanted lower liquidity and into lower PD arrays, all right? And we got a really nice push into this SIBI, and then we get a continuation, slow continuation down lower, right? We can see that we take this low out, and then your model 11 times start. 1020, 1034 are your times to look at, right? Then, of course, 1044 and 1055, right? A little bit before 1044, or actually I should even say a little after that, we have that continuation down lower, right? The beginning of your model 11 was a little choppy here, right? Back and forth in a specific range. But we had a really nice trade down into this 4-hour SIBI, and then eventually at 11:10, right, we have one more move down to these lows. Then we have a beautiful V-shaped recovery here, okay, for your model 110, all right? And of course, another thing to note, let me go on ES as well, okay, is the amount of buy side that has also been engineered. If we look at on the higher time frame on ES here, let me hop over here really quickly, okay? There's also a very tiny BISI here, okay, but also one right below it in which we actually manipulated too, okay? We mark this as the BISI. Let me go on NQ one time real quick, okay? Right, so we took this low out here into a fair value gap, and the same thing here with NQ, right? So both of them wicked right down into this area, right? There was a beautiful reaction after 110, I should say 1110, right? We had a huge 15-minute candle here, just completely engulfing both of these two candlesticks, these red ones, right? That's technically an inversion there. And then we have a nice wick here, and this is the area that you're kind of looking at, right, to take an entry. Same thing, kind of over here with NQ, all right? So if we just take a look overall, right, over here, if we go down to the lower time frame, like even on the 5-minute, okay, we can see that we had a really nice candle right over here, right? And if we go down to the 1 minute, we can see that we can find some sort of setups, right? This was that larger move that I was just talking about, but we can see that we have all this low resistance liquidity that has been engineered a little bit after 11:10. But what's more important is all these PD arrays, these 1 minute SIBIs here, that are being inverted, okay? And we have a really nice BISI here as well. So you can use these times to try and catch along, right? We have 11:21, 11:29, and of course after 11:37, right? So an entry could have been done around 11:29 or a little bit after that, or you could have waited for this BISI to hit. Notice that we had a nice wick after 11:29, 11:30 gave us that wick. Low resistance liquidity was engineered, and price begins to push up. Also notice that we have our 11:21 root candle right over here, okay? And another root candle right over here, which is our 11:10. Now, how do we use these? We use them as premium and discount, similar to PD arrays, right? We're using them as premium and discount areas, or also specifically in the book, we're using them as hidden liquidity. When price begins to push up above these points and close above them, especially when we're displacing above specific internal highs, right, you can expect price to continue to push up and continue to seek liquidity in the opposite direction, especially since we had that beautiful inverse there, right, where price is just completely disrespecting those bearish PD arrays. Once we got to close above those, we had another setup right here at this 1 minute BISI, right over here. And 11:37 gave us a really good opportunity as well, right? A trade into this BISI, another wick down right below it 1 minute after, and then we get a continuation up to another root candle. And what is that root candle? I believe it's a root candle, or is it? Let me take a look here. Yes, it is a root candle. And that root candle is your 1034 root candle right over here. Okay, notice how we tap that root candle. We don't close above it. We have another wick, and then we trade right down into another BISI. Okay, and then another BISI right over here. And we are using these times. This is our time distortion model. Usually if you have a larger move prior to it, you kind of want to stay out, right? And then we have a really beautiful continuation. So at the end of the day, right, what you should be getting out of this is that model 110 occurred and the models after were continuation, or specifically the model after that. Model 110 is an MMXM model by definition. So we had obviously we had a very beautiful market maker buy model here, a little mini one, especially to take all these highs out right up here, right? Then once model 1001 started, some little choppy price action here. However, we did engineer that buy side liquidity and also engineered some relative equal highs. We caught a short here, Ivan and I, and we caught this short after we got a little nice inversion here. But also we wanted to look at the 15-minute and see what's been being presented to us, right? We had a 15-minute BISI here. Obviously that's bullish. We had an inversion as well. Okay. And 6 here said there was an SMT and BPR as well in model 11 before the drop. Thank you for pointing that out. I didn't get to that. So I believe there was an SMT here. Let me actually point that out since 6 kind of talked about that as well there. And I believe he's talking about this SMT here. Right over here. And then right after there's a little BPR right over here, which could have been used as an entry. Big shout out to you for that. Great stuff. And we actually had multiple where price is just trading right through those areas. So good catch there. Absolutely beautiful. Right. Going back to our model 1001 here, we had a really nice, again, price is using these root candles. I don't know if you guys see this here, 1235 and also 1330. We're working through those root candles. We get a close below them. And notice how we are using these root candles here, right? Wicking at them right here. We have another wick there. And then price begins to push down there, right? We had a really nice move here after 1340. And of course, Ivan and I specifically wanted to see this 15-minute BISI here, right? And even lower. We were actually looking at this smooth body. I believe Ivan was also looking at this smooth body here. This candle here, right? But also just lower into these fair value gaps down there, or in the 15-minute fair value gap, right? And it was also used as an inversion. So absolutely beautiful 1001 move there into here. And then model 111 for us was the highlight of the day. Price started to die out here, engineered some nice liquidity here. Okay. Then at 1447, which is a DTT time, absolutely beautiful push up. We start seeing that push up. Inverse this 1 minute SIBI, you are using these root candles, and then we eventually take out this prior liquidity that was engineered up here, right over here. This is that second stage of distribution right over here, okay? And then we have our true opening prices up here that were tapped into, and our 953 root candle, right? Trade to 953 and our New York midnight opening price, get a little retracement, and then eventually run this high right up here for the day. Okay, so beautiful stuff there, very beautiful stuff. And yeah, I know it's a lot of stuff and it's a lot of things to look at, but I think it's important that we kind of went over all of that in one go. But does anybody have any questions there? Interestingly, there was an SMT in model 111 as well before the push-up. Let me see. I think there was an SMT, right? Yeah. Take a look there. Are you talking about... I'm trying to see which SMT it was. Was it a larger one or a shorter or smaller one? Oh, you marked it here. Let me see. Oh, okay. I see where you're looking at. Very nice. Very nice. I think it's with this low, right? Specifically. Yeah, there was an SMT there. Absolutely beautiful. Great stuff there, 6. You're really on top of it there. Great stuff. Yeah, we had a really nice push up though after that 1447, and then we had it trace down to 1034 root, and then price eventually just pushed up, and we tagged those highs up there. Timothy, when you measure the fib for higher time frames, do you measure beginning to end of year and beginning to end of month? Okay, that's a very good question. So let me go to it really quickly here. Let's get rid of this stuff. Yeah, it is great seeing it hindsight. By the way, 6. Just to kind of conclude here on the New York time frame, on the NY session models, but hindsight is great. And eventually, you'll be able to kind of see the bigger picture on the lower time frame as well while you're trading live. But Timothy, to answer your question here, our digital time 3 yearly session, we have yearly and weekly sessions. So we have one that starts from the beginning of the year, right? So the first day of the year to the next first day of the year. So January 2nd, 2024 in this case, to January 2nd of 2025, right? And if you want to find more times within these models here, so exactly what we're doing here, this is how it works. So we're drawing it from here all the way to here, right? And this one's going to kind of be off, which is completely fine. It's just off by a day, which doesn't really make a huge difference. But yeah, so that's how we're drawing it there from January 2nd to January 2nd of next year. Okay, and you could do this, of course, when you're doing the next year, you're going to be doing January 2nd from 2025 all the way to 2026, and the first day of 2026 is going to be January 1st. So you'd mark it to that, right? You could do January 2nd too, but I just do the first day of the first year, or first day for the year, excuse me. And then for these models here, you would just, if you want to dissect it up even more to find those lines, you would simply just do it like this, right? Or like this over here. All right? Just like that. Any more questions for today's recap? Of course, Ivan. Appreciate you for stopping by here, brother. Hey, 6, it happens, brother, but you showing up here every single day, right? Brutal week, but you're showing up here and you're putting in that work. That's all that matters, man. And I see that. And your markups are amazing. 100%. You're doing great, brother. Of course, Ali, appreciate you, brother. You guys all enjoy your weekend. Have a great rest of your evening. And I will personally catch the Quant members on Sunday for our weekly outlook. All right? And don't forget to look out for Zero's psychology lectures as well. You'll definitely see those happening. All right? You guys have a great rest of your weekend. Much love to you all.